Good evening everyone and welcome to League of Europe. This is GT Sport Season 2, Round 5 here at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And I am James Head 14, your brand new commentator for 1 week and 1 week only. I'm tuning in here I'm filling in for a commentator that usually does this. This is a bit new to me. Hopefully you will recognise me from somewhere. If you don't, I'm the League of Europe F1 Division 1 commentator. So bringing my expertise and experience here to the action to unfold out on track here for Season 2 Round 5. And I don't know how to change people's thingy. Right, hang on a minute. I do apologise about this. There we go. Wow, there we go. Right, I can change through people now. There we go. We have a spectator glitch going on there, but we are now on board with KVR Campbell, who's currently on the top of the timing screens. We are about to begin very shortly indeed for 15 minutes worth of qualifying. Then I do believe it is a reverse grid race as well, lasting 60 minutes. So you're going to be with me at least until about 7:15, 20:07 around then. And I am thrilled to be commentating here tonight, and it should be absolutely fantastic to commentate on Brands Hatch, a very familiar circuit to me. And of course we do have driver standings to go through before we begin. So Eloy Perpetual, a Division 1 driver from the F1 side, in the lead currently, 3 wins for his name. On 75 points, leading the way. ILRT Dan is in second, very consistent points scoring for him, 66 points for Dan. KVR Campbell is in third on 52 points, the Scotsman, with Mac Dutchface in fourth, the German, on 37 points. Didn't start last week's race. KVR VC Game Boys in fifth on 37 points. Then it is Sir Ibo on 30 points in sixth, Bullet Boy in seventh, good to see him back this week. KVR Dakar, who is not going to be racing tonight due to personal reasons, is in 8th in the championship on 23 points. Ton Albanak is in 9th on 6, as the Aura Crafty as well is in 10th on 6 points as well. Caesar Racing at Home, Sarja and Starja, I think Sarja and Starja, different names there. They haven't scored any points this season, and most of them haven't attended this season either. So, very familiar track, this Brands Hatch to me. Of course, we are now coming through. We're on board with KVR Campbell. Bullet Boy to the top of the timing screen to a 124.2. From personal experience, I've drove a Ford Mustang around here before, and I've done a 23.8. So I don't want to rub it into anyone's face or anything like that. But just putting it out there is a 23 to be had, I think, here tonight. So, Bullet Boy, and we are about to get going for qualifying, I do believe. I'm not sure. This is brand new to me, so I could be mistaken. We could be just going for the 60 minutes race, which could be the format here tonight. As I say, I'm very new to this. So we are going to get straight into this 60 minute endurance race here at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Rolling start to be had off the start. And the Aura Crafty and Bullet Boy currently leading the way in the championship. Perpetual and Dan starting from the back. So, reversed championship standings here tonight coming into, and the top 8, the 8 that are attending, obviously swapped around in the standings. We are about to get going though for 60 minutes worth of racing. Everything is on my screen, which is good to see. And the Aura Crafty gets us underway. We are about to begin for an hour's worth of racing here at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. And we're about to get going any second now, and the Aura Crafty gets us underway. Bullet Boy with a very good start as well. So Ibo very close in behind. Everyone's spread out like a washing line currently. I'm sure this will get condensed down into turn 1. Bullet Boy right on the back of Aura Crafty, coming down through Paddock Hill Bend, and then up towards Druid's Hairpin for the first time. Aura Crafty hanging on. Game Boy's trying to go all the way around the outside of Druid's Hairpin. He's got the move done. So the Dutchman is up to third. A little bit of contact there between Aura Crafty and Bullet Boy. Little bit of contact, running very similar looking liveries there as well. Game Boys and KVR Campbell, of course. Oh, and a little bit of slight moment there from Bullet Boy going out onto the marbles a little bit, but on settling down, everyone has started nice and cleanly. Aura Crafty leads the way. Bullet Boy in second. Game Boys in third as they now come through Hawthorne Hill and into Hawthorns for the first time. And Aura Crafty leads the way. Bullet Boy in second. Game Boys in third. Mac Dutchface now into fourth. So Ibo has lost places and losing places quite considerably. Gamble has just gone past him through Hawthorns on the inside. He's up to 5th now. Sybil now down to 6th. Dan and V5 Etrol right down the back. We're on board with the battle for the lead still. Aura Crafty and Bullet Boy leading the way as they come through Sheen Curve and into Stirling's there for the first time, and now under Clearways and through Clark Curve. Aura Crafty, Bullet Boy, pretty much going side by side. Game Boy's just being forced onto the grass there, trying to look for a gap that wasn't there. Aura Crafty under all sorts of pressure though out in front, and at the end of lap 1, he's held the lead, but only by a 1/10 of a second. Bullet Boy in 2nd, Game Boy's in 3rd as they come into Paddock Hill Bend, and Bullet Boy switches it down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. A fantastic move, a waiting move there from Bullet Boy. Is Aura Crafty going to get him around the outside? Game Boy's actually going around the outside into Druids. A little bit of contact between the BMW and the Aston Martin, but he gets the move done on the Dutchman. Makes sure of that, and he's up to P2. Aura Crafty now dropping down the field. Mac Dutchface is now on the inside, now coming through into Surtees, down the Cooper Straight and into Surtees. And Aura Crafty on the outside, Mac Dutchface on the inside, just clips the curb a little bit, forces Aura Crafty into the grass a little bit there, into the gravel. But Aura Crafty now recovers himself and is under pressure once again from Campbell. Campbell now right on the back of Aura Crafty, who started from P1 of course, reverse grid standings here tonight from the championship. Bullet Boy leading the way. He's under pressure though from Game Boys early on, and the Dutchman really starting to gain on him as they come through Dingledale and Sheen Curve once again for the second time. We are already nearly 3 minutes through here in this hour endurance race. Bullet Boy leads the way then from Game Boys in 2nd, Mac Dutchface in 3rd, just getting caught on the grass there through Sheen Curve and into Stirling's. On the exit of Stirling's, Mac Dutchface is in 3rd, Aura Crafty in 4th, so Mac Dutchface getting that move done as I said earlier on in the lap. QVR Campbell right on the back. V5 Etrol has got his way past Dan, he's also past Sir Ibble. So Ibble now down to the back of the field, struggling early on in that car. And of course pit stops, mandatory pit stops will have to be made. There's going to be plenty of pit stops, and with the tyre wear, times 12 tyre wear here tonight for the guys to consider. So the maximum available tyre wear, as we see a 3-way battle. Oh, and we see side by side actually coming out of Graham Hill Bend and onto the Cooper Straight, and Game Boys has got the lead from Bullet Boy, and Bullet Boy spins on the outside going into Surtees. That's a bit of a weird one for Bullet Boy. Coming into this race said to me that he's had no practice. Maybe that is why he has just spun there at Surtees. But Bullet Boy now from 2nd all the way down to the back of the field, but continue, you can get good viable points, and that's what matters the most. As Campbell, I'm just going to come out of spectator mode quickly just to right on board with Campbell on the back of Aura Crafty. I do like to have my onboard shots here and give you guys the best possible action. I will try and tune in to the comment section when I can, as that is Mac Dutchface off coming into, a little bit of contact between Aura Crafty and Campbell as well, brings V5 HRL into play in the Mercedes AMG, going down into Clearways and Clark Curve on lap 3. Game Boys has got that clear lead, and it's quite a considerable margin as well. About 8 seconds I make that out as. Yeah, 8.7 seconds coming across the start-finish line. Aura Crafty in 2nd, Game Boy 3rd, V5 HRL in 4th. Mac Dutchface under pressure now from ILRT Dan, and Dan trying to go up the inside of Mac Dutchface, who gets a little bit wavy coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. Campbell trying to go for the move down the inside on Aura Crafty, and Mac Dutchface completely outbreaking himself onto the marbles. Mac Dutchface now down into P6, McLaren is through, ILRT Dan is up to P5 and is making his way eye-catchingly through the field. He's got V5 HRL about 1.5 seconds ahead of him. He's just got to keep that in mind as Campbell gets onto the grass, similar to what we saw with Bullet Boy, just getting caught on the outside. Bullet Boy's already been into the pits to he's gone on a new set of racing hard compound tyres. 3 compounds available to the guys here tonight, softs, mediums and the hards. No super softs here in League of Europe GT Sport. Game Boy's still leading the way. Aura Crafty is under pressure now though from V5 HRL. But Dan now into 4th after Mac Dutchface losing the position into Paddock Hill Bend. V5 HRL now on the back of Aura Crafty on lap 4. I'm going to tune into the comment section and see what you guys have been saying so far. Mac Dutchface just getting caught wide a little bit there. So Ibble was made ground after Campbell's mistake, so he's now into 6th. Bullet Boy, of course, coming into the pits as well. He's now down in P8. But Game Boys, with an ever-increasing margin, 11 seconds. Don't count this as too much, to be honest, at this early stage. That gap can be closed down quite considerably and mistakes can happen out on track. We are through the first 6 minutes. Game Boys leads the way and we are down a driver as Bullet Boy has retired from the race. So Bullet Boy is retired from the race. Surely we will get attendance points for that. V5 HRL and ILRT Dan now scrapping it out. The two title rivals now just in behind Aura Crafty. He seems really to be holding up everyone. Game Boy's now leading the way. 13.3, 13.4 seconds. The tyre's obviously wearing out. I think the tyre wear is on time 6 here tonight, if I recall. Game Boy's still leading the way. Aura Crafty is under pressure though from V5 HRL. The Mercedes now going to do battle against the Aston Martin, that is, of course, of Aura Crafty. And the V12 Vantage, little bit of a break. Little bit of an odd moment there between Aura Crafty and V5 HRL. A little bit of contact being made. All quietly condensed. Game Boy's getting away. This could favour him towards the end of the race, or certainly towards the midpoint of the race. I'm going to tune into the comment section now, see what you guys have been saying. Bullet Boy has been saying, don't think there is a quali. Yes, I gathered that when we were going straight into the race. So there we go. And also Bullet Boy coming in, damage from Aura. So damage from Aura, that's why he came into the pit lane. And in fact, V5 HRL is into the pits. V5 HRL into the pits with front right damage on that car. He's on from a set of hard compound of tyres. Let's see if he is going to fuel up that car. He's on 50% fuel roughly coming into the pits. V5 HRL is in and out of the pits. There's that damage. He's now fully fueled up and on to another set of the Racing Hards. I think that's the same set of the Racing Hards, so no tyre change there for V5 HRL. But Game Boys, 17 seconds clear, the Dutchman dominating out in front. Aura Crafty in second, with Dan in third. Dan trying to look for the move down through into Surtees now. Not close enough for the move running up towards Dingle Dell. Sorry, not Dingle Dell, down Pilgrim's Drop and into Hawthorne Hill and Hawthorns. And Dan right in the slipstream of Aura Crafty. Got to watch out for the braking points here down into Hawthorns. Taking a nice fourth gear out of there, side by side, nearly in the background between Sir Ibbo and Campbell. Lexus against the BMW. Looks like the BMW is going to have that inside run. Campbell on the inside, the brace against his fellow countryman. Sir Ibbo on the outside, just gets caught on the grass slightly. Not sure if you guys might have seen that, but I definitely did. Sir Ibbo just got caught on the grass. That's also his position to Campbell, but very close, very compact racing here in GT Sport. As Game Boys is into the pitch from the lead of the race, more to do with the tyres than anything else. Dutchface just getting a bit sideways out of the final corner, but has got the run now on ILRT Dan. So the German and the Dutchman about to do side-by-side action running down the straight. Not quite. Mac Dutchface trying to have a look down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Not quite. And Dan holding on to second place with Mac Dutchface now in third. And in fact, this is the battle for the lead now with Game Boys coming into the pits. And there is Game Boys, who has came out just in behind the leaders. Very quick pit stop round here. Campbell is also into the pits, has gone on to a set of racing mediums, as has Game Boys as well. So differing strategies here from the guys. Mac Dutchface, the German, trying to go looking down the inside once again. Down the Dutchman's inside. Dan, not quite. But Game Boys in a really positive position early on in this race. Has had a second Fuji before coming into this race. Now, with side-by-side action, Dan trying to go for the lead of the race on Aura Crafty. Down the inside he goes, ILRT Dan. Fantastic move down at Hawthorns. And ILRT Dan makes that move stick. The McLaren not really hunkering down on this car. Aura Crafty just getting pushed wide a little bit from Mac Dutchface. A little bit of side-by-side contact there. The German now trying to get through as Aura Crafty just coming into Mac Dutchface. That might just need to be investigated, that. Looked like he was trying to defend the position. Mac Dutchface is also off, so both the Aston and the Mercedes off. And Aura Crafty just got to stay calm at this point. We don't want to see any dirty driving out on track. But through the first 10 minutes here in GT Sport League of Europe Season 2, Round 5, here at Brands Hatch, Dan leads the way by 2 seconds and has got that break. Game Boys in second. Definitely seems to me that these these bigger cars, like the likes of the McLaren, the likes of the BMW, the likes of the Lexus, of Sir Ibbo doing quite well, and they can last quite long on these tyres as well. Obviously the tyres are wearing. The fuel though very crucial towards the end of the race. We're going to be seeing plenty pit stops, and it is all about managing your fuel, managing your tyres around here. I mean, if we're getting 8 or 9 laps when the guys have pitted, McDutchface is out in front with Ulrich Crafty, and McDutchface actually having a 2-second penalty. It's a slow down penalty which he can serve out on track, and hopefully he'll be able to serve that. Otherwise it will get it added on to the end of his race time, and in fact another second will be added on at the end of the race. But Dan now getting closed down by Game Boys. Of course, the fresher tyres and the much bigger fuel that he's got in that car is obviously going to come into fruition now. Be interesting to see how this is really going to pan out. Game Boys right on the back of Dan now, so 2 major contenders here tonight. As Game Boys sets the fastest middle sector, 24.5, the fastest lap of the race from Game Boys. The Game Boys now on the back of ILRT. Dan down in the inside through Clearways and into Clark Curve. Dan not pitting. And Game Boys now trying to get the run. Are we going to see side by side into Paddock Hill Bend? He's got the run, Game Boys, trying to look for the inside line. Can he get him late on the brakes? He can. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. And Game Boys is through with a fantastic move once again down the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Seems to be that corner that everyone is starting to pull off overtakes at. And Game Boys is up to the lead of the race, overtaking ILRT. Dan, who was held up early on, but the ILRT team against QVR. Bit of rivalry going on, and of course a bit of rivalry going on in the mini league, TTG mini league, which I've covered last week. Certainly mini league 2, I know ILRT and QPR are going at it in that, so very interesting perspective on things with 2 of their drivers, 2 of the QPR guys here tonight and 1 of the ILRT drivers here tonight. Very interesting perspective, and I will be commentating on mini league 3 once again next week. For anybody that does want to follow me on a Wednesday night, I'll be at 7 o'clock, so may not be able to make it next week if I was to be offered commentating them all again. But Game Boys leads the way by about a second now. Dan trying to hold on firm as he comes through Stirling's once again and on towards Clearways. Of course, if you are just tuning in, Brands Hatch does have 2 different layouts of track here. We've got the Indy Circuit, which is the much shorter circuit and goes into the infield of the track. And then we've got the Grand Prix circuit, which was held for Formula 1 racing. Also, MotoGP's been around here as well before. So just to give you a little bit of background on that, there are 2 different layouts, and we're using the Grand Prix layout, a much bigger layout out on track here tonight. McDutchface and Sir Ibble. McDutchface should really consider using up that slow down penalty, I think. Try and make sure he just courses into the corners, tries to reduce that penalty as much as possible. I mean, he's got 46 minutes, but if he gets little corner cutting penalties, 5 tenths, 6 tenths or something like that, it is all going to start to add up for him. So the German just has to be careful, got to have one eye on his tyres, one eye on his fuel, and probably a third eye in the back of his head. Obviously trying to manage the slow down penalty that he's got as well. I find I've received slow down penalties around here before, and I certainly find that going up into Paddock Hill Bend, which I just came out of actually, that's where I find the best place to have a slow down penalty, and it is the best way to just lose the time completely off that penalty that you do have. We are nearly 15 minutes through already. Going quite quick this race so far. Game Boys leading the way by 12.6 seconds. ILRT Dan has came out in 4th. We're going to run through that in a minute. V5 Etrol in 2nd. Game Boy Campbell in 3rd. So QVR 1-3 at the minute. V5 Etrol in terms of the championship coming into tonight. V5 Etrol clear by Dan on 9 points. The gap 75 points to 66. Currently, as it stands, and they're using the traditional F1 point system, V5 Etrol will be getting 18 points, Dan will be getting 12 points, so 6 points in favour of V5 Etrol at this stage in the race. And this is the halfway point in the season as well. And I do believe we are going, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to be going to Autopolis next week in Japan. So Autopolis will be next week, then it's Bathurst, then it's Suzuka, then it's Circuit de la Sarthe or Le Mans track, and then the Nürburgring 24-hour track to finish off the season. That's how I read the calendar. Correct me if I am wrong on that. Obviously, I am new to all of this. McDutchface just beginning to try and pull away now from Sybil. Full 10s down in the first sector on his lap. current fastest lap of the race is still with Game Boys with a 24.5. I don't think that's changed since the early point in this race. And now we will really get to see more of the strategic side get into these hour races. There's not really many close battles going on out on track. Sebo and McDutchface, the closest battle that I can see is certainly out on track. Even viewing at the mini-map, taking one view at the mini-map, I can see that this is the closest battle. Campbell and V5HOL might get close quite soon. They'll begin to close up, I'm imagining, to about 2 seconds. Yeah, 2-3 seconds nearly the gap between V5HOL and Campbell. McDutchface, 1.7 seconds clear of Sir Ibble. And coming into tonight with these two, Sir Ibble on 30 points, McDutchface on 37 points. So this again is really a tight-knit, close championship battle that is going on out on track here tonight. They're going to be gaining 10 and 8 respectively if the race was to stop at this point, which of course it won't because there's still 43 minutes left. Game Boys will lead the way, V5HOL in second with Campbell in third, Dan in fourth, setting a personal best coming out of the first sector, I do believe. Yeah, it's 5/10 up on his personal best through the first sector. So Dan now looking to possibly save fuel, definitely saving tyres. The mediums, of course, don't tend to wear as much as what the softs do around here. If you were to go on the softs, it will be towards the end of the race. And with the free tyre compounds available, and with the tyre wear on ×12, it is really going to be interesting to see how these guys cope with the degrading tyres out on track tonight. But nearly 18 minutes through, Game Boys, V5HOL, Campbell, Dan, McDutchface, Ibbo and Aura Crafty. We did lose Bullet Boy earlier on. It's a shame that he did retire. Obviously, coming into the race with no practice not really set you in the greatest mindset, but I'm sure if more time is available for him next week for Autopolis, he will be coming next week to race there, and I'm sure Bullet Boy will practice next week and will ensure he is in that mindset. We have got a pit stop though. V5HOL into the pits, so the Mercedes is in with damage as well, so it's obviously picked up some sort of damage out on track. I have a feeling on the right hand side would be coming into the pit lane, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think he might have been, yeah, I think he's probably contacted the wall coming into the pit lane, and yeah, it's just been removed there. He's just out behind Sir Ibble, so a little bit of a battle going on here now between V5HOL and Sir Ibble. In terms of the fuel, about 55, 56 litres of fuel left for Sir Ibble. V5HOL, of course, on nearly a full tank, so obviously it is going to be a one-way system here really with the overtake for V5HOL getting done on Sir Ibble, and we are about to see this, I think, down into Surtees. V5HOL trying to go late on the brakes down the inside at Surtees. Sir Ibble holding firm, they give each other plenty of respect, but that move is nearly done. Sir Ibble trying to hold in firm. That Lexus is quite quick down the straight, but I think the Mercedes has got the speed and he has got the exit out of Surtees, and V5HOL is back into P5. Game Boys is in from the lead of the race, his second pit stop of the race. As we approach the 20-minute mark here in League of Europe GT Sport. I'm James Head 14, by the way. If you're just tuning in and don't know me, you should, if you've been tuning into Division 1. Sebo just having a bit of a slide on through, coming up into Sheen Curve that was, through the left-hander, then into Sterling's, and again, tyres squealing, not great. Obviously you've got to manage the tyres, you've just got to try and make sure the power's in, and I've just spotted actually his number plate on the back. Very good to read that. Very great to read. And Sir Ibble replaced with the 5, and the one of the B's in his name is replaced by an 8 as well. So on closer inspection, and that looks like it's a GB plate as well for him. So very nice touches there on his livery, I've got to be honest. But there we go. This is what he pinpointed. Now, McDutchface still got that 2-second penalty, that slowdown that he has had pretty much since contact with Aura Crafty early on in the race. McDutchface still really not refusing, well, he's refusing really to serve that slowdown. It's better to serve a slowdown now, and then you've got a bit more of a free rein, a bit more of a buffer over the car ahead or behind to serve it now than to serve it in like 3 minutes before the end of the race. It is more costly, I think, if you do have a slowdown and you're carrying it on through the race, and it is very costly indeed. But Campbell is into the pits from the lead of the race. The QVR guys have been in. FC Game Boys has been into the pits. He's trying to chase down Dan. It's 2.4 seconds the gap between the lead there. So Dan leading the way on Game Boys. Campbell, however, is into the pits. Clean Vigor Racing. Beautiful livery on that as well, using the Hankook tyres. BMW M Power, of course, represented here in the GT3s. There are different choices of the cars that you can have. If you're new to tuning in and you haven't seen GT Sport before on the League of Europe channel, you're really in for a right treat. I've got to say, it's been great racing so far. Of course, now turning into more of the stage of tactics and tyre management and fuel management coming into play now, and all of the overtakes really done out on track. However, as I say that, V5 Petrol is chasing down the other Mercedes. So V5 Petrol, purple through the middle sector. There are 4 sectors around this track, by the way. One just after Druid's hairpin, one just coming down into Pilgrim's Drop, one just before Sheen Curve and just after Sheen Curve and Stirling's, and then one at the start finish line. So there are 4 sectors, 3 sectors in traditional formats. Project Cars has got 3 sectors, but line up a move possibly now. V5 Petrol, McDuchess comes to cut him off. Makes one move coming across to try and defend the position. Now coming into Stirling's. Surely not going to go down around the outside there. We'll try and switch back. Dan is into the pits. So Dan into the pits from the lead of the race. It is going to be side by side, pretty much coming into Clark Curve. McDuchess, V5 Petrol soils it around the outside. And not surprised, McDuchess is into the pits. Doesn't, luckily, pick up any damage coming into the pits. And he has served a little bit of a slowdown as well, which I admire with him coming into the pits. He goes on to a set of hard compounded tyres. Dan is back out on the mediums. He's out just in front of Campbell by about a second coming through Paddock Hill Bend. And we are slowly approaching the halfway stage here in League of Europe GT Sport. Game Boys picked up a 4/10 penalty. Obviously that was for a little bit of corner cut, and if I imagine where he has done that, that is probably just coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Because if your car does cut the inside apex and you run all 4 wheels over, the game can be quite BS in giving penalties out, and Game Boys I think is on the receiving end of that. He has served up a 10th of his penalty since I've been alluding to on that. Dan though getting chased down by Campbell, 7/10 the gap. The mediums of Campbell against the mediums of Dan, both relatively on the same fuel, but again the BMW just seems generally quick around here. Of course the updates are coming up tomorrow for GT Sport. I have seen the release trailer. I have seen that Spa is going to be the new track added. So Spa will be the new track added, finally, I think. So Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps will be coming to GT Sport as of tomorrow. There'll be a big update coming for that tomorrow. So just to confirm that for anyone that is interested in the new update. I'm not sure about the cars. I will try and confirm that as we get towards the end of the race. But in the meantime, back to the action. Campbell chasing down Dan. 3.5 the gap between Campbell and Dan, as McDuchess has just gone down the inside of Sir Ibo in the background. Bit of a position change there, so both of them changed. Sir Ibo, a bit of a weave on there, and I think maybe McDuchess has tried to pull off that move a little bit too aggressively, and Sir Ibo not happy with that. Might just need looking into. Of course, saving the replay is the best way to investigate incidents around here. Game Boys, by the way, is 14.7 seconds out in front, but still with that 3/10 penalty. V5 Petrol in second, Dan in third, Campbell in fourth. So currently as it stands in terms of the championship, V5 Petrol will be extending that championship lead from 75 points. He'll be ending at 18 on top of that, so it'll be 93 points for him, and Dan will be on 15 points. He's on 66 coming into tonight, so he'll be on 81 points. The gap will be 12 points coming into next week in Autopolis, which I'm under the impression is the next track. Hopefully everyone enjoying the stream so far, and if you are new to tuning in to the GT Sport and want to consider signing up, do. It's a whole lot of fun. I might do some private testing myself and maybe even enter next season, who knows, coming into tonight. But hopefully everyone enjoying the stream so far that has tuned in. Of course, GT Sport not as popular, I don't think it's safe to say, as the Formula 1, like the Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 series. That's what most people recognise the channel for. But I think looking towards the future of League of Europe, I know the organisers have been on about possible expansion plans. I know they want to take a look, hopefully, into expanding GT Sport. I think it's certainly something that is quite popular out there. Find the right people, find the right sort of drivers, and you will be right on top of things. And I think with GT Sport being one of those things, you have to consider expansion onto this game. There's quite an array of tracks. There are different things you can do. I'm in a league at the minute that does GT3s and the MX5 Cup. That's hosted on a Sunday night. I recently won a race there as well in the MX5s. And the GT3s definitely seem to be more popular. That's what you're seeing here tonight. Campbell on the back of Dan. I know there was forecast to be an LMP1 series this season. That got cancelled quite early on, which is a shame because the LMP1s are getting quite popular, but it's Project Cars 2, I think, is a better choice of game to really do that on. But yeah, I'm just speaking about random things to try and get through the stream here, roughly. McDutcher's still got that 1.5 second penalty, but you're still on board with the battle for third between Dan and Campbell. Stayed quite consistent since I've been on board with this, about 7/10 of the gap coming through Graham Hill Bend. Left-hander through that, and Dan hanging on for life out in front. Game Boy is still out in front though. Just have another bit more of his penalty, another 10 taken off his penalty. He's still 14.2 seconds ahead of V5 Petrol, who's having a nice lonely race now in second. He'll be considering to come into the pits very soon indeed. Dan in third has pulled away down through Pilgrim's Drop. And now into Hawthorns, or through Hawthorns, and now into Dingle Dell, which is coming through. Hawthorne Hill, sorry, Pilgrim's Drop, and then, so this is Dingle Dell, he's just gone through. Sheen Curve to the left-hander, and then Sterling to the next left-hander here. And Dan just beginning to pull away, just setting personal best through the middle sector. Campbell looking a bit quicker through the final sector though. BMW now trying to come into play. Both again, as I say, around the same point in terms of the fuel. Campbell probably running around, I would say, 8 to 9 litres more at the minute than Dan, so possibly taking an eye into the future, that could be an extra lap for Campbell compared to Dan. That could be the difference between getting third out on track and getting fourth out on track. And with both of these beginning to battle, it is going to really heat up towards the end of this race, and I'm honestly thrilled to be commentating on this. It is I've been experienced before commentating on GT Sport and on GT3, so it's literally, this is in my element, this. We are nearly at the halfway stage though, and Game Boys leads the way from V5 Petrol in second. We're still on board though with the battle for third between Dan and Campbell. McDutchface is in fifth, so Ibbo is now in sixth, and it's 32 seconds down off McDutchface. Oh, so Ibbo has been into the pits recently. So Ibbo has been into the pits. So he's on Trust Racing set of softs, trying to get an undercut possibly on Dutchface, trying to undercut him in the future. Noah Crafty is down there in seventh and about to be lapped possibly because Game Boys is just coming through down the straight, down the Brabham straight. And Paddock Hill Bend is, of course, turn one. Just seems to be going out in the Canberra corner. He's got a pit now. He should have pit that last lap. Those tyres will not make it this lap. He's going to make a mistake. And V5 Virtual, I think, wary of that danger, is going to respond. Game Boys has now got 3/4 of the track to go. V5 Virtual into the pits for a fresh set of the medium compound of tyres. He's into the pit. In fact, it's a set of soft compound of tyres. I do apologise. So he responds. Game Boys is going to be going right out on track with literally, it's almost as if you've got one of those police stingers out on track with these tyres. They're literally shot. They are quite literally shot, and they will be degrading at quite a serious pace now compared to Dan, for example, who's still got his tyres pretty much intact, and he should be pinned into the pits this lap. Then Campbell will be going in next lap, I do believe. Halfway through, Game Boys leads the way, 17.7 seconds. You can see what I mean by the tyres degradation at quite a significant rate. Dan and Campbell with fresher tyres now beginning just to come into play. V5 Etrollo is the one we're going to have to ride on board with. See how that gap is when Game Boys comes into the pits. And speaking of Game Boys coming into the pits, he is into the pits. From the lead of the race, he's in the BMW. 1 litre of fuel remaining coming into the pits. The Dutchman is in from the lead of the race. Will he opt to go a full tank of fuel and then go for a possible splash and dash towards the end? Remains to be seen. Dan and Campbell are out in the final corner, and Dan's still going for another lap, it seems. Campbell going for another lap, certainly. So they've gone through on Game Boys. Game Boys are going to be out in third. There's V5 HRL just coming out of Clark Curve now, and there is Game Boys, and that gap has significantly came down. That has halved, literally, in the space of, what, a lap. V5 HRL has closed in on Game Boys, and in fact, I'm reading the wrong statistic. It's actually 4 seconds the gap, 3.7, 3.8, around 3.7 seconds coming out of the pitch. V5 HRL has really put the hammer down on that last lap. Much fresher tyres, and with a set of softs compared to Game Boys mediums, this is possibly the defining moment of the race as we know it. V5 HRL is 8 tenths up through the middle sector, or through the second sector. Of course, this will be the middle sector he's coming through now, through sector 3. And I do apologise, there is 5 sectors on this track, not 4 that I misled you guys on. There's 5 sectors out on track. I know, there's only 3 on Project Cars 2, which is quite strange. Anyways, Old School saying good battle for third. This is Mark, by the way, coming in. Good battle for third, even with thin grids. Racing on GT Sport is way more interesting. It is. I think in terms of, obviously, I race in a league, as both the leaders are into the pit. So Dan and Campbell into the pit. I will come on to what I was going to say in just a short while. So Dan into the pit on 2 litres worth of fuel. Campbell into the pit on 17 litres of fuel. Could have got another lap out of those tyres, and certainly another lap out of that fuel. Maybe even 2 more laps. Could have went possible splash and dash and try to seal the third place, I wonder. But Game Boys leads the way. V5 HRL is in second. New fastest lap of the race set by V5 HRL with a 23.9. Very good lap there. Campbell out of the pits just ahead of Mac Dutchface. He's running strongly in 5th position. Should be keeping an eye on coming into the pit lane. He has reduced that slowdown penalty by 5 tenths of a second. And just coming back to Mark's comment there about racing on GT Sport being quite a lot more interesting. It definitely is. I think, certainly from my perspective, I race and commentate on GT Sport, and I have done in the past. And what I certainly gather is that even with thin grid racing, even with only 7 drivers, in this case, going around out on track, it's almost as if it's still condensed down. Obviously, this is an endurance race. Obviously, it's not a sprint race like a 15-minute race that you have if you were doing something like the MX-5 Cups, for example. Obviously, there's so much to consider here on GT Sport. There's so much in terms of strategy, in terms of tyre management, in terms of fuel management, in terms of even going through the corners. You have to try and take the car differently and try and adapt your driving style through this race, and it is quite boring for these guys in a sense, with it being an hour's race, and if they don't see anyone for the whole entirety of the race, it's just really quite boring, to be honest. But in this case, you've just got to make sure that the tactics, the time management, the fuel management, this is what guys will be going through in their head tonight. Every single driver will be going through this process. Game Boys has just made a slight mistake there coming out of Sterling's. Gap is reduced by about 3 tenths of a second. Don't discount the tyres into this, but Game Boys has just lost a little bit of time, and I think I saw him quite wide onto the grass nearly on the exit of Sterling's. So Game Boys now under some pressure possibly out in front. Tyres not going. He's on a set of mediums. V5 HRL on a set of softs. Dan in third, Campbell in fourth. Personal best, I think that was from Campbell through the middle sector. So Dutchface is in fifth as well. 2.5 second penalty now for him. Ora Crafty is into the pit lane, however. He has got damage on that rear end, so obviously he has lost it, possibly coming out of Clark Curve. I imagine. He's probably lost out of Clark curve. He's probably spun round and then he's trying to correct himself to come back into the pit lane. That's what probably has happened there. I know it all too well. I've been through that process before, and trust me, it's not fun. All Crafty then, into the pit lane. He's out of the pits. He has got that rear damage. It is going to be affecting him. He has got to watch out as well for Dan, who is right behind him out on track. About 2-3 seconds I make that the gap. He can continue on, but he's obviously going to have to let him through. McDutchface is into the pit with 0 litres of fuel left. The German doing quite well. Again, I think, as in terms of the lonely race that has been going on really for McDutchface, he's been in 5th, and he's one of the drivers that will be feeling quite heavily judged by him just racing by himself in this race. Not having anyone around him, it can be quite a lonely and quite dark place, to be honest. If I've got to be honest, I've been there before, and having been in this situation, it is quite a dark experience. If you're running around in 5th position, with nobody around you, you can see cars going through turn 1 and what have you, but if a guy is like 13 seconds off, in the case of McDutchface and Sir Ibble, it is quite lonely. It's quite lonely, and obviously we're going to have to consider the tyre management, fuel management, all into that. But enough about my little, my personal life story. Game Boys leads the way still. Viva Ricciarolo makes a mistake through Paddock Hill Bend. And on to lap 26. As I say, hopefully everyone enjoying the stream so far here out on track. And I'm pretty sure that this is going to be quite good out on track, and I'm really hoping that we do have better attendances for GT Sport going forward. And just coming in, I'm just having a look on the Discord. McLaren fan said, I've now signed up for the GT3s. I've been playing GT Sport a lot recently and I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's the sort of people that the league can reach. We're going to be in for a right treat. There is a battle going on. Do you believe? Oh, Aura Crafty just letting through Dan there is off. That is at, and I've got to get this right, I think that's at Sterling's. That's at Surtees, so I'm getting Surtees and Sterling's a bit mixed up here. Campbell's just gone through past him as well. So Aura Crafty, I think in his circumstances, he's obviously been lapped. He's got to keep that motivation level up. He has got damage to both the front and the rear end. But he's got to keep on going because every single point counts. And you never know, these guys in front might have a very poor race coming up in the next couple of races, and Aura Crafty could be there and steal a possible podium, possibly even a win. You never know what can happen in circumstances like this. We're going back on board with the battle for the legal. Game Boys has still got a 3/10 penalty that he hasn't got rid of yet. Viva Ritual, the softs obviously now going to be running at a much more warmer temperature than Game Boys, but obviously with that warmer temperature that the tyres actually run on, it is going to be overheating the tyres slightly, and I think Viva Ritual is just considering that going through the corners. He's now beginning to try and close in, possibly with a bit of fuel management there as well. Game Boys though pulling away down the straight. BMW definitely quick in a straight line compared to the Mercedes. So Game Boys now through as we approach 40 minutes through in this 60-minute endurance race. And if you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. You've missed me going on about all sorts. So watch back the stream after this. Game Boys leading the way, 1.6 seconds. Viva Virtual in second, down in third. Campbell in fourth, the personal best middle sector. It's just a 10th down actually coming through that middle sector. McDutchface is in fifth. Sir Ibble in sixth, and Aura Crafty in 7th position. We'll keep on board with battle for the lead because Viva Virtual is coming into the pits. So Viva Virtual into the pits. Soft compound of tyre is no more for him. And I think with that rear left especially getting exposed through these corners, right decision is to pit in and probably come out just behind Dan, I think, coming down the Brabham straight across the start finish line. And Dan, yeah, there he is, just going through camera shot. He is ahead of Viva Virtual. So Dutch 1-2 at the minute. KVR Game Boys leads the way. Dan in second, Viva Virtual in third. And in terms of the championship, with now Viva Virtual coming into the pits, again this is going to be a short stint. Soft compound of tyres again for him coming out of the pits. He wants to try and secure at least a good spot. Obviously he's been caught up in that bit of a train early on where Overcrafty was pretty much holding up the whole field, and that's why you saw Game Boys, and that's why you see Game Boys now with that big advantage. Because of that, their race essentially has been cost in a way, but with now the soft compound tyres, and with now a little bit less fuel in his last stint, Viva Petrol can now put the hammer down, and he can now focus on getting down ahead of him. 3.1 seconds the gap. There is Game Boys ahead, just coming through the final couple of corners there into Sterling's and then into Clearways, which he's just gone through now into Clark Curve. So Ibble just about to be lapped as well, I think, and Game Boys in fact just coming into the pits. Very weird. Why on earth do drivers have the feel like they're obliged to cut the pit lane a little bit? They come onto the grass, slow the car down a little bit more, and stay between the white lines coming into the pit lane. That's what I say, honestly. But Dan is into the pits as well, so that leaves V5HRL now out in front. There is Sir Ibble just coming out of the pits. Campbell is into second. We are struggling to go on board with him. Sorry, Game Boys is in second. He just came out ahead of Campbell. Both of them running a very similar livery. Both of them, in fact, running the same livery out on track. Part of the QVR team. And Viva Virtual currently leading the way. Game Boy second, Campbell in third, Dan in fourth, McDutchface fifth, Sir Ibble and Sake the Nora Crafty in seventh position. And he has got blue flags behind him, and that is Dan behind him. Lovely how I could switch to the back. I didn't realise I could do that. There we go. Dan though, yeah, Crafty gonna let him through. Good sportsmanship shown there. That's what we like to see. And I'm sure Dan is very, yep, just gives us a flash of the hazard lights there. Dan respectful of the fact that Crafty's just let him through, and Dan can continue on with his race. But 1.1 seconds between the two QVR boys, Game Boys and Campbell. And now with V5HRL, just realised this actually, the gap was about 7.5 seconds on the last stint. It's 9.5 seconds now. In theory, if Game Boys has to pit again, which I don't think he will have to, he's got to manage the field well if he does want to get round 4 on this stint. With V5HRL now beginning to pull away, this could mean that we see V5HRL on top step of the podium. Because in theory, I make it out as about 2 seconds buffer between winning and losing this race. If I'm right in saying. That's what I make it out as anyways. I think it's about 2 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds, the gap. In theory, if Game Boys was to pit again, which he might not have to. So I just have to take a little bit of a break there for a drink. Fastest middle sector by V5HRL. And Trishul, more used to seeing him in Division 1 of course. He's doing a great job out in front in that Tag Heuer sponsored Mercedes. V5HRL, 10.4 seconds. This gap has really extended out. With him being on the softs, he is beginning to extend out this gap. He's 2 tenths down through that 4th sector. He will have an eye to coming back into the pits again and then going for splash and dash. But I feel it could be, if I was in his situation now, I would be honestly going a bit one on and one off. I'd be going a 1 on lap, a very quick lap, then saving the tyres, then saving the fuel, and then go around and essentially have a banker lap, and then go again to waste some fuel, waste some of the tyres on his lap. And that's what could gain you the time, but obviously in those off laps you will be losing the time back. But in case of V5HRL, he's pulled out 11 seconds. This is going to be quite touch and go towards the end of this race here. V5HRL and Game Boys, this is going to be touch and go for the win. Campbell in third will have to pit, and will probably pit this lap in fact. Dan has a view to possibly going towards the end of the race, but I honestly have a feeling he will have to pit again. McDutchface is in 5th. He will have to pit again. He'll be pitting in the next 2 laps, I would think. So Ibble has recently came into the pit. He's in 6th on a set of soft compound of tyres. He has been lapped by the leader as well. Nora Crafty has just been lapped actually by McDutchface and has got damage. So Crafty clearly struggling, but I feel drivers just will have to put in a bit more practice. I think if regular practice sessions are hosted, I think it's certainly a way to improve the driving and improve the quality and try and get everyone closer up. I mean, the league I'm in, we do Pro and Pro-Am. Pro and Pro-Am. Pro, obviously, the top tier, which I'm in. Don't want to boast. But that's the top tier. And Pro-Am is essentially for those drivers who don't necessarily have the pace. Campbell is into the pits, however, from 3rd position. Campbell into the pits. It's, as I say, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be in Pro-Am, but they just don't have the pace to be with the pro guys. That's why we split the categories in SLM Sunday League that we run, that I am part of. I don't run it, but yeah, just a bit of experience on that. Campbell just going to be out behind McDutchface, I do believe here. Yes, so Campbell out behind McDutchface gives us something to commentate over though. 8 the gap. Sable was about 1 minute and 23 seconds down, and that is Game Boys just ahead, I do believe, of Sable. And Sable was quite up there, well up there within the first half of the race. Just seems to be dropping away slightly as McDutchface gets wide through Graham Hill Bend. Campbell says thank you very much, and that is a beautiful move for QBR Campbell. Takes full priority over that. He will be going to the end of the race, I do believe, as well. McDutchface with a penalty, 1.9 seconds. He has served up a little bit of his penalty at least, but he will be into the pits this lap. And essentially he will have a free pit stop because Sable is about 1 minute down on him. But lap 33 we're on. We should be aiming towards around possibly the mid-40s mark with the laps here. I would say maybe 40, 42 laps, anywhere between that. But as I say, hopefully everyone has been enjoying the racing so far. Hopefully everyone has been enjoying the stream so far. Not many comments. We can live with that, I guess, though. But hopefully everyone has been enjoying it so far. And I think with the with GT Sport, with this being the halfway stage in the season, and with Autopolis coming up next week, as quite rightly McDutchface is into the pits. Oh, and I quit accidentally. I was pressing the wrong button there. I do apologise about that. McDutchface is into the pits. Or Crafty is into the pits as well. So both of them are into the pits. And honestly, I've loved my first commentary here in League of Europe GT Sports. It's been quite a privilege to be commentating here tonight. Attendance obviously not as great as what it can be, but it's still a bit of a thrill to give you guys my experience over things, my take on from a driver's perspective, because I have been a driver and I'm more of a commentator now than a driver, but I've been in those situations, and trying to explain things out on track, it is quite key to seeing how this race is going to pan out. And 13.1 seconds between V5 Troll and Game Boys. V5 Troll will be into the pits this lap, so watch out for that. He'll be into the pits this lap. Game Boys and Dan 2nd and 3rd, Campbell in 4th, McDutchface in 5th, Sable in 6th, and Overcrafty in 7th. But the championship leader will be coming into the pits this lap. Where is Dan in all of this? Dan is just going through Graham Hill Bend now. V5 Troll is just coming out of Hawthorns and then into the right-hander at Westfield and then down into Dingledell, which he's just gone through now. Then through Sheen Curve and Stirlings, the right-hander through Sheen Curve and the left-hander at Stirlings. And I do apologise for getting Stirlings and Surtees mixed up quite a few times in this commentary. I know I've done it, so I may as well apologise for it now. V5 Troll though, into the pits. This is where it's going to be quite interesting. What does he do? 10 minutes to go, soft compound of tyres, enough fuel to get to the end of the race, and V5 Troll is going to be right all over the back of Game Boys. Game Boys has just gone through, Game Boys is actually just out the final corner. This is going to be a lot closer than what we expected. V5 Troll and Game Boys is just going to have the plan out in front, and V5 Troll now out of the pit. It's going to be about 6 or 7 seconds again, I believe, coming out of the pits. Yeah, about 6 seconds, 6.5 coming out of the pits. But is that enough fuel for V5H to get to the end and to try and close down Game Boys? Game Boys, instead of racing hards, V5H instead of racing softs, you will see this gap fall quite literally very quickly. This gap will come down considerably as Game Boys just gets a bit of sideways out of Surtees. V5H now going through that same corner. Much cleaner exit. But the Mercedes does not have the speed down the straight, and Game Boys just has a little bit more breathing room down the straight. Of course, more cornering than anything around this track at Brands Hatch, at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Of course, British touring cars more familiar these days around this track than having thinking. Of course, Blancpain has been around here as well. The Blancpain GT series has been around here. Freely available to watch on YouTube as well on GT World, which I like to watch in my spare time and watch the real life drivers going around. Tom Unseld Cole and the likes part of that this season. Game Boy's into the pits, so I did say he wouldn't get to the end of the race. Game Boys is into the pits then from the lead of the race. And this brings V5H into a tactical masterstroke. If he can make sure that fuel gets to the end, not so much the tyres, but if he gets the fuel to the end, he will win. He will win. Game Boys out of the pits on a set of softs. So, 17.5 seconds out of the pits between V5H and Game Boys. 18 seconds now. Obviously, the tyres will have warmed up considerably. Game Boy's opting to go a bit more safe on the fuel. That's probably around 95 litres of fuel he's got in that car. Plenty to get to the end of the race. Of course, the fuel wear on 6, I do believe, coming into this. 12 for the tyre wear. V5H though leading the way by 18 seconds. Is that gap they're going to reduce? Game Boys will use that car's straight line speed to close in, and you can already see how that is making a difference down the straight. Down into Hawthorns now, and then into Westfield, the next right-hander. V5H though leading the way. It's going to be around 40 to 42 laps this race in length. This is a 60-minute race, but it's still got 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and it still could pan out into anything. Has V5H judged this right? I am of the opinion that he hasn't. I honestly think he has not judged this right. I have a feeling he's going to have to come into the pits and literally go for splash and dash and try and get Game Boys through the corners. This is what could happen, possibly. I've been wrong in the past by this, by the way, but I just feel V5H has misjudged this. The rate of where the fuel is going down compared to the time remaining, I think he's only got 3 laps on the fuel. 3-4 laps maybe on the fuel. And with the time, it's going to be really close. It's going to be really close. If it extends into an extra lap, by the way, for the leaders, then we go into endgame territory. We're literally into endgame territory. You can see the fuel ticking down on the bottom left, next to where the tyres are. He is nearly at 50 litres of fuel already. Game Boys has just ticked under 75 litres of fuel, so you can really appreciate how fast this fuel is actually going down. 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go. V5H leads the way. 17 seconds, gap reducing, but not by much. It's only by about a second this lap. V5H leads the way, coming across the line. Setting consistent lap times, I've got to be honest. 24.8, his last one. Quite consistent lap times as well on the right hand side, from laps 31 up to 33 he was setting 24.8 and 25 flat, and I think that'll be enough possibly to get him home and holes for the win, but it's going to be touch and go with 5 minutes to go. Game Boys I think is definitely safe on the fuel front at least. Tyres, he's wearing the tyres a lot more because he's having to work a lot harder trying to get the car into turning, possibly with a bit more of an aggressive driving style as well. You really see him attacking the corners, and on that, yeah, drifting out through the corners, not going to help the tyres. The way the tyres squeal, quite literally, on entrance and exit into the corners means that the tyres are actually going underneath, essentially, and they're losing warmth within the tyres. So they're getting colder, they're operating at a much colder temperature. Back on board with the leader though. An unintentional move to go back on the leader, by the way. 4 minutes to go. This is going to be close. I feel that we've got another 3 laps maybe to go. We're going to tick under 4 minutes now. About 1 minute and 25 seconds a lap. 3 minutes and 55 roughly coming across the line. So 1 minute and 25, be 2 minutes and 20 coming across the line. We're going to be having another 3 laps from this race. Certainly for the leaders, maybe for the front 2 at this stage. Might be close with Campbell. I think the front 2 will get an extra lap, which means everyone will go a lap down. Obviously they'll be counted on the same lap though, as I think it's obviously a glitch within GT Sport. But I think it's now looking more like that V5HRL is going to pull off a tactical masterclass here in League of Europe GT Sport. V5HRL is now coming through into the final couple of corners on the final couple of laps now with 3 minutes to go. As long as that fuel does not tick down, he is going to be probably changing he's probably going to be changing left and right on either his wheel or his controller quite consistently to try and change the fuel, certainly. You can change the fuel mix around here. Obviously higher number means you're running less, that you're running less fuel. Just makes a mistake on the exit of Clearways and into Clark Curve. There is Game Boys just coming out of Stirling. And with 15.3 seconds the gap. But look at Game Boys' tyres compared to V5HRL. This is smooth, consistent driving from V5HRL. This is over-aggressive driving and wearing the tyres quite quickly. That is costly for Game Boys. And that is what's going to cost him a win here today. I can only say it as bluntly as that. That is going to cost him the win today. He's going to finish second though. Campbell is in third, and look at Campbell's fuel. That's going to be touch and go. That is really going to be touch and go towards the end of the race. Dan could get third possibly. He's just had a bit of a moment actually, I do believe, Dan. As he has had, there is Seibo right in the back of him. Seibo obviously looking quicker at this stage than Dan. Dan, obviously, the driver in behind has got to stick behind. We don't want an Ocon Verstappen moment in Brazil. Seibo all over the back of Dan. But V5HRL, it's going to be under a minute to go as they come across the line. Minute and 25, so we're on to penultimate lap of the race. We're approaching the end of the penultimate lap, and V5HRL is inevitably going to be taking this win out on track tonight. And it is going to be a dominant win for him out on track. So V5HRL now comes across the line to start what will be the final lap of the race for V5HRL. Game Boys will be coming on to start the final lap of the race as well. Those tyres look like they've just been underneath a police stinger. They're wearing away at quite a considerable rate. And his you can see with his times they begin to fall off as well. 25.7, 24.5. He's lost just 1.2 seconds alone. After that, smooth driving, I think, from Game Boys going forward if he does want to make sure the tyres. Campbell onto the final lap of the race. Seibo down the inside of Dan. Dan, however, having a bit of a moment here, I think, with Seibo. And again, with the right side of damage, has Seibo, yeah, Dan now backing off Seibo, coming across the lines. Dan onto the final lap of the race. McDutchface is just going to fall shy, I think, coming across the line. And I think he knows it as well. He's doing low fuel. Oh, he's doing low fuel. Yeah, he's going to come across the line, I think, just out of time. McDutchface across the line to finish in fifth. So that is it. But we have got Ora Crafty coming through there. V5HRL coming up towards Clearways. And he is going to be taking the race victory with a tactical masterstroke from V5HRL. The Brit is going to take it here at Brands Hatch. It's a home win for V5HRL. He comes across the line to win at Brands Hatch. 41 laps completed. V5 Etrol across the line to win. Game Boys under sustained pressure. That is Aura Crafty just behind him coming across the line. He will finish 7th, but Game Boys with a good podium finish. He will finish 2nd, replicating that form from Fuji. Campbell is going to be coming across the line in 3rd. And QVR guys will be very happy with their performance. Dan, maybe just looking more into the future, thinking there's a championship battle still on. He has lost valuable points though tonight. Campbell across the line in 3rd. Dan will be coming across the line in 4th position for ILRT, and Sable is going to be right in behind as well. So they're going to be 4th and 6th. Sable trying to give him a good race, a good old fight of things. But Dan coming across the line now to finish in 4th. Sable coming across the line finishing 6th, and that is it. That is it for League of Europe GT Sport. V5 Etrol takes it by 15.3 seconds. Game Boys in 2nd, and Campbell finishing in 3rd position. And there we are, Campbell at V5 Etrol takes it. Last to first challenge complete. He extends his championship lead, and V5 Etrol is the winner of League of Europe Season 2 Round 5 here at GT Sport. And that is it. No LMP ones here tonight. I was expecting to do a double commentary, but GT3's obviously a great series to have in ILRT. The GT Sport series certainly in ILRT, in League of Europe. Having drivers like QVR Campbell, QVR FC Game Boys, ILRT Dan, I think in terms of the future, certainly looking in towards the future, it's certainly something that has got to be considered for expansion. I've loved commentating here. I'm sure everyone will feel the same way as well in commentating, in viewing this tonight, either now or later on when they watch this back. I will be here for League of Europe next season. I don't know in what role I'll be here, but I will be commentating, I know for sure, on Division 1 next season. I will be commentating on Division 1 next season, and that is a guaranteed certainty. But that is it from me, JamesHead14. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight for League of Europe GT Sport, and we'll see you next week for Autopolis. Whether I am back next week, you'll have to just wait and find out. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.